All right, well, I bought this wrecked 12-foot, 300 horsepower supercharged mini jet boat, and we are going to be fixing this thing up and hopefully enjoying it some. So this is a 12-foot Buccaneer Jetstream hull, 4-seat configuration, 300 horsepower Rotax Sea-Doo engine in it. It's got a newer engine, so it's got IBR. It is a really, really solid base. It's just, it's been beat up over the years and it's been wrecked pretty good up here in this front corner. This whole thing is caved in. So we're gonna try to fix all of that so that we can wrap it and make it look good again. So we've got a lot to do in the aesthetics department and some stuff to do in the mechanical department, which I'm really excited to get into. It should be a really fun project bringing this thing back to life. But before we do any of that, I wanna take it out and, you know, enjoy it a little bit, if I'm honest. But also I'd like to be able to just get a better feel for it and see what all we need to do. There might be stuff that I think that I want to change that we don't need to change, and vice versa. So let's take this thing out, see what it's got, and then we'll get it back here in the shop and dive in full force. All right, guys, before we get too deep into today's video, I wanted to talk to you about today's video sponsor, Factor. So I've been using Factor for literally years now. It has saved me so much stress, time, money. It has made me eat better. I feel better. It's just across the board. It's really done a lot of things. I'm very passionate about Factor because it has really done so much for my quality of life, because with Factor you get fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to your door that are ready in 2 minutes. So from whatever point I'm hungry, within 2 minutes, I can be eating, and not just eating anything, eating a delicious meal made with quality, real food that does not make me feel like I need to go take a 2-hour nap. So I love it, man. Across the board, it saves me so much money on takeout. It saves me time on cooking. It saves me a lot of stress and mental load of having to almost plan my whole day around food and when does this place close and do I need ingredients for this, then I gotta go to the store. If I'm gonna go to the store, I gotta get this, and then this wanting to be done by a certain time, all in the sake of just eating. Instead, I can work till whenever I want, and whenever I'm hungry, 2 minutes later, I've got a delicious meal. So, I mean, you can't beat it. It checks all the boxes. It has been awesome for me. I think it'll be awesome for you. And if you are interested in trying it out firsthand, head to factor75.com or click the link down below and use code TaylorDrifts50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. It is a great deal, a great way to not only try it out, but add it into your routine and see what it does for you. See how much time it saves you, see how much you like it, and be able to make a decision from there. If you're like me, you're gonna love it and you're never gonna look back. But that being said, I speak of time and not having enough of it. The usual, today is no different. So we need to get back to work. So let's get to it. All right, well, we made it back home with the boat, got it back in the shop. Great first test ride, man. I am still so stoked on this thing. It's just the way it drives, the way you can just drift it. You know, it makes like cruising down the wide open parts of the river fun because you can just throw it sideways and manji it whenever you want. It's cool. And having the space, man. I got to bring my whole cooler this time. And man, this thing rips, man. It's got some serious power. So overall, very happy with it. And our list hasn't really grown, you know, pretty much everything we knew we needed to take care of or change or wanted to change, it's still the same list. Priority number 1 being this trailer. So it's a borrowed trailer anyway, regardless, we have to replace it, but I'd like to do that ASAP because this thing, even with the tongue folded, is massive. I mean, it's taking up a lot of space in here, so I'd like to get a permanent trailer and get it swapped to it as soon as possible. So I've got some offers out for some trailers. Hopefully I can nail one down by tonight and we can go pick it up and get this thing swapped over. So ideally the best way to do that is to take it to the river, dunk it in the water, and then pull it out with the other trailer. So I don't want to get into tearing this thing down too far just yet in case we do need to take it to the river to switch it from one trailer to the other. So we're going to start with the simple stuff, including swapping some parts over from this boat. That way we can make sure this boat is good to go, ready for sale. So if someone wants it, it's good to go. We don't have to do anything. So I'm going to do that. We're going to start swapping, moving parts around. We're going to get to it. Let's get into it. I'm generally opposed to robbing parts off of one car to put them on another car. Well, in this case, boat. But in this scenario, I don't think the Garmin and the steering wheel difference are really going to make that much of a difference in selling the boat. I'd rather be able to sell it for a little bit less and save that money that I would have to spend on buying another Garmin. But I think if someone had one of these boats and used it, they would want things like the Garmin and appreciate the value that it adds. But without that, I don't know that you would. So anyway, I decided to go ahead and pull it out. Trying to get this wiring out from under this dash without taking this whole thing apart was a little bit tricky, but luckily I already had this other steering wheel already modified, ready to go. If I didn't, I might not have gone down this route. I might have just waited till I got a new steering wheel for the new boat, but I thought since we had this one lying around and it has its own cool look too, we might as well just toss it in, and that way we can put the red one in this boat now, because the wheel that's on it has seen some hard times. It has been bent and bent back many a time, and I'm not a fan of the flat face steering wheels. So I really wanted to get this mod done ASAP, because things like steering wheels in any vehicle, they just make such a big difference in how it feels, because that's how you're interacting with and connecting with the boat or the car. So getting that done was, top of my priority list, but it is a little bit tricky to try to dig out all this foam and maintain the suede, and then to keep it thick enough so that way they don't move around when they're tight, but thin enough to where you can actually get the bolt started is a serious challenge. You know what, before we call it, first let me clean up. At least I have the method this time. So the first time when I cut this wheel, I cut the wrap and everything. And then I ended up having to tape around the bar in the center to get it thick enough to hold it nice and tight. So when I did this one, I made sure to try to keep the suede so that it holds itself together better. But now I have the process, so it was a little bit easier that time. I knew about how much I needed to remove. I'm going to clean this up real quick, and then I'm going to try to clean this suede up real quick while we're here. Never tried this trick for cleaning suede. I've seen this method used before to restore suede steering wheels, but it just seems wrong to aggressively brush a steering wheel with a wire brush. But as I started going, it seemed a little like it was hurting it at first, but started to work. I don't know, does that look better? I think it looks better. All right. Man, you know what? I'm gonna get a fresh wire brush and spend a little more time on this, because it's definitely looking a lot better. All right, that's good enough. We're gonna call it there before I ruin all the suede, but it definitely looks a lot better for sure. But yeah, I'm stoked on this. We now got our levers, boom, boom, boom. Let's put this wheel in, see what it looks like. Oh man, it's funny, I didn't bring the steering wheel. Just after sitting in the other boat and then crawling up in this one, I'm like, dude, this is so sick, it's so good. Same bolt pattern, that's always nice. Oh yeah, that's so much better though. That's like where I want the steering wheel to be. This thing also has a tilt wheel. How cool is that? All right, new steering wheel is on. I am super happy with that. One, I just love the look, man. A steering wheel can change the whole look of an interior of a car, but apparently also of a boat. I don't know, I just think it looks so much better in there than the flat bottom style flat wheels. Plus, I also like having a deep dish wheel because I like having the wheel nice and close to me. I like being able to be kind of on top of the wheel. So perfect. So that being said, before we move on to the Garmin, we have sorted out the trailer situation. So I was looking all day for yesterday for a trailer. Zane just got a jet ski donor to build one of their customer boats, and he has the perfect trailer that I'm looking for. I need to bring him his trailer back anyway. So we're gonna bring him his trailer, dump the boat in the water. I'm gonna buy that trailer, swap the boat on that trailer, and then come home. So works out perfect. We'll head over to Zane's place and go get ready to pick up our new trailer. So let's get to it.
And you have to bend this out.
That's so funny.
It's got a little magnet.
Oh. Oh my God, it's so funny. Look at this little baby gator. I don't know if you can see him. Can you see him? He's right there. Little baby gator. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. He's going in the water. There's a lot of gators in this lake. This lake should be called Alligator Lake. So we messed around with the trailer at the boat ramp and adjusted everything to try to get the boat where we needed to be, but I noticed on the drive home that it was a little tongue light. You know, if you hit a big enough bump, you could feel it bounce up at the front at the tongue, so we needed to do a little more adjusting to get the weight where it should be. Yeah, that's better. I can still lift it, but it's about like my other boat. Got some weight now. Job done. All right, well, we made it back home with our new trailer. Got the boat sitting on there right. Pretty stoked. This is the exact trailer I was looking for. It is a Triton aluminum jet ski trailer. The reason I wanted the Triton is it's got all this nice extruded aluminum with the channel slots for adjusting everything. They're really modular, which is handy when you're putting a boat on a jet ski trailer. It's got upgraded wheels and tires on it already, heavier duty wheels and tires. All in all, really happy with this little trailer. I mean, I hate the way they look on jet ski trailers. I think these boats just look so goofy on the little jet ski trailers. When I first saw, you know, like Johnny's boat and this boat on jet ski trailers, I was like, I would never do that. You know, when I have a larger one, you know, I'm gonna get a big, heavy duty, full on boat trailer. I want a nice, big, beefy trailer. But after having this boat on a big, beefy trailer, I realized that this is the way, because this trailer barely takes up, aside from the tongue, it doesn't take up any more footprint than the boat. So storing it is so much easier. Not to mention, at the boat ramp, you know, a lot of times there's a spot available, but it's only large enough for a small trailer. So if you have a nice small trailer, you can squeeze into a lot better spots. So there's a lot of advantages. It's proven to work. Tons of people run these boats on these trailers all over the country. So I decided to go that route. It looks a little goofy, but practically it makes sense. That being said, trailer situation sorted. I would like to take it down to the ramp tonight just to do, you know, a quick little test launch and retrieval, make sure everything is where it needs to be and it loads and unloads good before we get into these next projects that are going to require us pretty much making the boat inoperable. So I decided to go ahead and wire the Garmin up, or get the connectors on it outside of the boat, so that way we didn't have to do it while laying down under the dash. It's always ideal to get your wiring done, not in a tight and confined space. So fortunately with the Garmin, it's literally just a power and a ground wire. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And Zane already had one in here, so I know exactly what and where I need to hook the wires up to. I just had to put the right ends on them. So once we got it bolted in, I had to crawl around under the dash and try to get basically just the power and ground hooked to their respective spots. But easier said than done. Well, if we hook this up right, it should turn on. Yep. Nice. Now we got GPS. All right, cool. Got everything working. There's always small little problems with pretty much any modified vehicle, and a lot of times it's hard to bring yourself to do them unless it's fresh and new and exciting to you. And that's what this boat is. So that's why we're tackling all this little odds and ends stuff before we take it out again. One of those things being the fuel tank vent. I needed to reseal it a little bit better. It just wasn't fitting in there nice and tight. And then I wanted to add some cushion for the intercooler until we can get a better mounting setup for it. But the biggest thing was these hood shocks. I cannot stand having something with hood shocks that don't work. So I bought some fresh ones, even though Zane had just replaced these, but I got some heavy duty ones that actually worked. We had to do a little trimming, but we got hood shocks now. Look at that. That's how it should be. Nice. All right, fixed. Another one bites the dust. And another project done, another project done, another project bites the dust. All right, well, that was the shortest part of my to-do list, the little things. But we did get them done. We still have time to go ride, so we are going to go ride and test out the trailer and practice some 360s. You know, I mean, it's all for science. To the first beach spot. I'm gonna fix this steering wheel. It can't be that far off, is it really? So I knew the steering wheel was off before, but with this wheel it just seems way more off, so I'm gonna try to adjust it over one hole and hope that I just had it aligned wrong. And I happened to run into some random guys at the beach, and they all wanted to go for a ride to see what this thing's like.
Appreciate it.
A little more. There we go.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad.
I redid my steering wheel position.
Yeah, that's sick how it slides.
Yeah. Might get wet.
That's an adrenaline rush right there.
That's so much fun. We got wet on that one.
That's what I'm talking about.
I didn't have enough speed.
It's almost like you're drifting this.
You literally are. It
Yeah,
slides. Like the back end is sliding. See, this spot is really nice this time of day. And the sun's not beaming either early in the morning or this time. It's just so nice to have a boat that I can freaking stand on. I can climb, you know, out here onto the beach, barely get wet. The other boat, like I had to go over the side, or that was the easiest way. So then I'd always get, you know, at least like knee deep, maybe shorts deep in water. Which obviously is fine if you're in the mood to go in the water, but it's nice to be able to stay relatively dry if you want to. Or if you don't want to, then you can clearly just go in the water. So it's sick. I'm loving this thing. I took those guys for rides, and I did one okay 360. I'm just not going fast enough. And the ones I just kept getting so much water. I've got a solution. We got most of the parts that came in today for storage, because like I always got my backpack with my phone, and I've always got stuff I don't want to fly out or get wet, which always makes me drive timid and, you know, just messing around like that. So anyway, I'm jibber jabbering. I should head back to the ramp and get home. It's just so nice. See, I'm gonna get wet so I can go get my drink. So nice to have a cooler. Got my tool bag. I gotta mess with the steering wheel some, but oh, the thing did figure it out. Oh, I was telling you about this. My Garmin wasn't working a minute ago. Now it's working. So if you look, you can see those are all my traces. This is my test and tune spot, you know. Well, now we got the Garmin working. All right, I should really go. It's just so peaceful. I never want to go back. I just want to enjoy it some more. But the beautiful thing about this, and I'm very fortunate in living very close to the water. I can kind of come whenever, you know. It's not like it's going to be weeks till I get to come out again. I think there's a boat coming. I'm gonna hit the road, get back to the ramp, get this thing loaded up. One interesting thing on my other boat, when you put it in reverse, you would turn right to make the front go left because the nozzle's pulling you this way, right? So the front would go left if you turn right. On this boat with the IBR, if I want to go left, I turn the wheel left, and then when I go back and forward, it's the same. So it's really nice, but it's taken me some time to get used to it for sure. right, well, second test ride was successful. Still super happy with this thing, man. My 360s are a little weak. We need to work on them, but it's time. It's time to dive into the meat and potatoes of this and start stripping this thing down so we can kind of make sense of everything and start making some forward progress and setting it all up the way we want to. I think the best way to do this is gonna be to attempt to put this thing on the lift, get the trailer out from under it, and then basically just set it down on the ground. That way we can easily just reach in here, work on stuff from outside the boat or getting in and out of the boat. Everything will be a lot easier if this thing's not sitting 2 feet off the ground on the trailer. I think this will be the best way to do it, but that being said, I've put a lot of different things on this lift, but a mini jet boat has not been one of them. But, you know, this is the first time for everything, and I'm sure we can figure it out. There, that is more solid than any car I've ever had on the lift. That is a hilarious sight. For how much of a thrashing this thing got at Zane's hands, it's really not too bad underneath. Yeah, that was definitely the move, man. This thing is so much easier to get in here, get access to everything. I can reach down in here. This is nice. I don't know why I never thought about doing this with that boat. It's just so much easier to work on. So basically, we've got a bunch of accessories to add. We've got stuff that doesn't work that I want to make work, changes to do. We've got a bit, but we kind of need to get a lay of the land first and figure out what we've got going on in the wiring department, what goes where. So to do that, we basically just need to strip the interior out of it, see what we have, what we don't have, all of that. Look, now I got a fishing boat. My life jacket that nobody thinks I have. Oh no, this is too comfy. I'm gonna end up taking a nap down here. This is nice though, dude, compared to working under the dash of a car. All right, we need a multimeter. We'll trace that back. So I'm just checking for continuity. If we touch one end of the wire and another, it'll tell us. Yep. Okay. Well, actually, now that I think about it, these pairs of wires help us. They make this a little easier. Let's see if these lights work. This is a very convenient thing to have. Milwaukee battery adapter. I have mine set up with these spades, and then we'll just alligator clip to these. And we've got our little power pack. It seems like those work. So now we have a dilemma on how we want to redo this and improve this. We got kind of two ways we can go about it.
So sometimes the only way to get a good mental image, mental map of how something is laid out and what goes where and what is for what is to take it all apart, which seems kind of silly if you got something that was put together because it's already put together, but I like to know what everything is, where everything goes, how it all is set up, because if I have any problems down the road, I know exactly where to look. I know where that wire goes, why it goes there, what's routed with it, what could have caused the problem. So for me, the extra time of tearing this all the way apart versus trying to tear it minimally apart is definitely worth it in the long run for the knowledge gained and knowing that if I need to troubleshoot this in the future, which I'm sure I will, I know the gist of what's going on.
Oh, how does that saying go? You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Yeah, we definitely went down the rabbit hole a little bit. I didn't intend to take all of this out and pull all this wiring. I was able to verify that we had enough wires in there to do what we needed to do, but somewhere along the way, the plan went off the rails, and I decided I had a better solution than taking the easy way out and using what's already there, because we had just enough to do what we needed to wire up and the stuff we're gonna add to wire up. But with any project like this, there's always things that get added on in the future. And then if we were to add anything that needed to get powered up here, we would have to run wires all the way back. Then we'd have another pair of wires, and then maybe another pair of wires, and then all these separate looms running front to back. So instead, while we're in here anyway, while we're there, what I'm gonna do is split this box off. There's 8 channels. So we're gonna leave 2 or 3 for back here, and then we're gonna run the rest in one nice tight loom up to the front, and then we're gonna have one big connector up here to disconnect it. So all the accessories that get wired up will wire to that one connector. And we'll have a couple of extra channels. So in the future, if we wanna add some lights or something, we'll just have to wire them to the connector there instead of having to come all the way back here. And that means we just have one nice tight loom running all the way to the front instead of a bunch of them. So it's a little more work now and a little more effort, but it'll be cleaner. And in the long run, it'll save us time if we do ever need to add anything. So that's my justification, at least. That's how I convince myself to go a little deeper down the rabbit hole, which I usually try to advise against. So that being said, the side benefit of the fact that we've got all this stuff ripped out is we actually need this wiring out of our way to do one of our projects. So we're gonna be adding another pair of speakers. So we have this pair here, we've got an amp under the dash, and it works, but it's not quite loud enough. So when I went to pick up the trailer, buy the trailer from Zane, I also picked up these speaker boxes that they came up with to weld in and put speakers up by the driver and passenger. So I went ahead and bought these so we can add another pair of speakers to our sound system. But obviously to put these in, we have to weld them in, which we would not be able to do if all of that wiring was there. So, you know, it's a good thing. we went down the rabbit hole instead of taking the easy way out. So it all works out. Yeah, all right, well, let's switch gears, get the welder set up, and get these fitted in and welded up. I think it's gonna look really nice.
Since all of these boats are a little bit different, and just the way they're assembled, the way they were cut, everything's slightly different, and not to mention this boat has been well used and has some dents and dings, we have to grind and fit these in to get them to fit nice. If this was a brand new boat put together by the same person, these would probably fit perfect, but we got to do a little massaging to get them to fit right, and it's definitely always worth taking a little extra time in the fit up stage and saving yourself so much time in the welding stage, even if you want to just jump right into it.
All right, well, I got both our speaker boxes fitting mint, nice and tight in there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and make a bottom plate just cause. But before I weld these in, I want to take a stab at getting this dent out. Because I don't want things to shuffle around after they're welded in. This is gonna be tricky. It's a pretty big dent.
After using a lot, and I mean a lot of heat and a lot of elbow grease with the hammer, I decided to finally break down and put some relief cuts in the creases of these dents. So that way I could push them out a little bit further and give the material some room to expand and contract as we push it out. And it works, but it definitely is kind of a can of worms, which is why I tried to hold off on it as long as I could. But this material is thick. It takes a lot to dent it, which is the point. So you can just bump into things and go over rocks and not have to worry about it, but it means getting a dent out, not easy.
All right, well, I think that's about as far as we're gonna get with the with the old sledgehammer. It's kind of hard. There's not a lot of room in there to get a good swing and kind of bashing it into everything that's up under the dash. So not ideal, but we did get them. We made some progress. I wasn't planning on continuing with this, but I'm so deep, I want to see how far out we can get it. So I think I'm going to go to Harbor Freight, pick up a Porta Power. I've never had one, and I've been using the toolkit that I take to drift events in my F80 for the boat, and it's got stuff I don't need, not everything I do need. So I'm going to put together a little kit so that we can basically take this tool bag, have our Velcro spot for it, since there's all this room on the walls here, and then just basically Velcro it right there. Then when we need it, just pull it off, do what we need to do, put it back. Keeps it from flying around, makes use of all that space under the rail, etc. I've been meaning to do this for a while. If we're going to Harbor Freight anyway, I'm gonna put together a nice little toolkit for the boat, so that way I don't have to keep switching stuff back and forth. I'm gonna quit jibber jabbering. Let's I'm gonna grab my hat. Let's go to Harbor Freight and spend some money, get some tools. Let's roll. If you want to make car friends, just go to Harbor Freight. You'll see all the interesting cars. All right, well, we'll sort through the new tools later, get them packed into the tool bag for this and the tool bag for the cards. We'll probably put some of the nicer stuff in the car one. I don't know. I might just get more stuff for the car one too. I've been meaning to for a while. Either way, this is for later. We need to break this thing out. Oh, all right. Well, I really don't mind a good excuse to buy new tools. The only downside is tools like this take up space. Space is something I do not have. I got the 10-ton. I don't think the 4-ton would be doing anything. Oh, it's kind of cool.
So the challenge here that we face with the Porta-Power is basically we need the material that we're using as the brace to be stronger than the material that we're pushing against. Otherwise, we're just going to bend the good material that's not bent, trying to bend the material that is bent. So we've got to be really careful here to not do more harm than good with this Porta-Power, but it's pushing, it's making some progress, but I very easily pushed right through the hole using the attachment I was using, which I was only using it because it gave me a good grip. So we're gonna have to try some different methods here if we want this to work.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. The bracket I was using to push against broke off. I mean, we got some of it out. The only problem with using the Porta-Power is like we only have as much strength as whatever we're pushing against, which we don't have a ton of options. But what if I did this?
I decided to take one more stab at getting this Porta-Power in a position to at least push this top rail dent out, but it wasn't going to happen without some serious modifications.
All right, well, I think the only way to really the only way to push these out is we need something stronger to support against. So we need to weld a piece of aluminum in pretty much top to bottom over here, a brace, and then push against that. Pretty happy with the progress, you know? I mean, obviously we're not where we want to be, but we have gotten it. It went from a giant dent where, oh, this thing was wrecked into something to it's just beat up, except for this. This is the real eyesore. But if we can just get this out, get these couple out, and this little thingy out, just get it, you know, roughly even, maybe an inch of variation, I'd be happy. Because once we wrap it, you're not even going to see it. You're not even going to notice it. And I don't care if it's perfect. The way it is now, there's no point in wrapping it. You know, we got to get that out. So I think we've done all we can do with the sledgehammer. Just, I can't get up in there to the top to hammer those out anymore. We got to use the Porta-Power. But to do that, we got to put something on that side to brace it up against, for it to push against. Obviously, the last thing I want to do is tear this side up trying to fix that side. So anyway, I'm going to mold that over. In the meantime, we're going to get to doing some swelding. So I'm going to weld these up, our relief cuts. They did their job, compression and expansion here, and then get our other welding done.
We got the welder set up and got ready to weld up these seams that we had created. definitely a double-edged sword having to put those relief cuts in, but fortunately, for being old, dirty aluminum, this whole material welded absurdly well. It did not even make sense that it could possibly weld that well after everything we've done to it, having paint on the backside. I was very pleasantly surprised when I started welding this that it was welding nice and smooth and clean. Way better than I expected.
All right, Josue's here. He's going to go on the boat. Not this boat, because it's a little incapacitated at the moment. But we're taking out the Little Ripper. I'm excited. I'm glad. It's a good excuse for me to drive this thing again. But we're ready to go. I'm going to go change, and we're going to go take the Little Ripper out for a little river rip.
So when we left the house, the weather was not looking great. As a Floridian, you could see that it looked like it might rain soon, but I checked the weather, I checked the radar, and I wanted to believe that everything was going to be fine because I've been trying to get Josue to come out on the boat for a while, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So we went out when the rain finally stopped. It said there was no more rain, and as we made it down the river, things started to look not great. It started raining on us. So we turned around, started heading back to the ramp since it was dry that way when we had just come through, but then now it was raining worse that way. So we turned around again, thought maybe we'd outrun it down the river, and we found a wall of rain, and we realized it was time to try to just haul back to the boat ramp and get out of there.
It said drizzle for 20 minutes, then maybe drizzle for another 20. I mean, the roof's working. Oh, but I didn't caulk it at the center yet. But it's working. You can see the rain, which is cool if I just caulked the center, but I haven't done that yet. Well, you would think all these years living as a Floridian, I would have trusted my instincts on that one. When we left, it literally still said no rain. It was slightly drizzling. I saw the clouds, felt the wind. It's just ironic because Josue's not a huge fan of water to begin with. And then, of course, when we go out on the boat, it's like a terrible situation where it's raining and storming. And oh, it was interesting. But we made it back fine. And the boat is here. But it's time to get back to work on this one. So I am going to go ahead and just continue on welding. Let's get to it.
So after getting the whole prep to weld the speaker boxes in, I still wanted to make a bottom plate for them. I was considering being lazy and not making it, but I know it's going to be easier now than later. So before I did that, I wanted to go ahead and just continue welding up these cracks so I didn't forget them or they didn't get pushed to the back burner. Now these have been cracked for a long time from my understanding, so probably not a big deal, but I thought we might as well stop drilling and go ahead and weld them up. Now, I don't know what this paint's made out of that's being used on this boat, but it definitely does not seem healthy to breathe the dust of it in when you're grinding on it. So we took some precautions there, wear some PPE, and then we're able to move on to the pump guards. Now, these are much nicer to weld because they are clean aluminum, no paint, no junk. But as we start to get to the bottom ones, it's a little bit trickier to get to. You can see the top was welded with a TIG and the bottom was welded with a push-pull gun. And I noticed that we had some water trapped in there in the wings and in the pump guards. So I decided to drill some holes and try to let the water out before I finished welding them up.
All right, well, we got all of our cracks welded up, the ones that I have discovered at least. This boat's lived a hard life, so she had some battle scars, but got those welded up for now. I'm sure at some point we'll take the time to rip this boat apart and weld up any and everything, but for now, just wanted to weld up the obvious ones that were rearing their ugly heads. So that being said, I really wanted to be done with all the welding. I wanted to get the speaker boxes in, and I wanted to get this dent finished. However, we are running out of time because we have a test day with the Miata tomorrow morning, very early, because we're going to another Toge event, and I want to make sure, I want to figure out we've been having a little intermittent problem with it, a breakup issue. And I want to be sure that I fix it, or at least narrow it down tomorrow before we drive, 12, 14 hours to go to another Toge. So, the moral of the story here is I got to get it loaded up, which, is not the simplest task in the world. It's a little buried. So I got to move everything around, get it loaded up. So I think I'm going to call it on this for now. We went down the rabbit hole, which I do not regret, but we'll have to finish this up next time. We'll get all the wiring done. We should have a new battery from XS Power coming, and that should be here soon. And our other light bars and the rest of our accessories. We'll get all the welding finished up, and then we'll put the whole boat back together with all the upgrades, and then we'll take it out and test it. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm still disappointed that Josue didn't get a good ride along. Good boat day. But hey, we'll go again. We'll take this guy next time. So that being said, I'm gonna quit jibber jabbering because I need to get loading up, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will see you next time. Goodbye.